Good afternoon and TGIF. From the KUOW newsroom, this is Seattle Now. I'm your host, Paige Browning, with today's top stories. It's Friday, May 29th. Sound Transit has set a course on the future of light rail expansion in the region, and the budget may be balanced, but not everyone's happy. Casey Martin reports.
The agency's board approved a plan Thursday to avoid a nearly $35 billion budget shortfall as it opens new stations and lays tracks in the next few years. Some expansion plans, like on the east side, will be delayed years to help save money. Projects that were saved in this vote include the Graham Street stations in South Seattle, the West Seattle station, and some promises on the Ballard extension line. The board agreed to look into cost-saving ideas to pay for trains to Ballard and come up with a long-awaited timeline, but ultimately rejected a proposed idea to pay for the Ballard extension. Transit advocates say they'll use this momentum to try to get funding, including at the state level. Casey Martin, KUOW News.
Down in Longview, Washington, recovery efforts continue as crews search for the bodies of 3 paper mill workers who are presumed to be dead. On Thursday, officials said the bodies of 6 more workers had been recovered inside a packaging facility days after a chemical tank ruptured there. At a press conference yesterday, Longview Fire Chief Brad Hanig said crews are working with the coroner's office to notify all families of the missing employees.
Priority is ensuring responder safety while treating every victim with the greatest dignity, care, and respect possible. As individuals are recovered from the site, they undergo decontamination before being transported to the Cowlitz County Coroner's Office.
On Tuesday, more than 500,000 gallons of a hazardous material known as white liquor spilled out at the Nippon paper mill. The blast is presumed to have killed 11 people. 8 of those deaths have been confirmed. The rupture is believed to be one of the deadliest workplace accidents in Washington in recent decades. Blue Origin founder Jeff Bezos says it's too early to know exactly what caused the Kent-based company's New Glenn rocket to explode. NASA was conducting an engine firing test on the rocket last night when it erupted into a massive fireball and sent shockwaves through Cape Canaveral. The rocket was scheduled to send new internet satellites into orbit next week. NASA also plans to use it to launch landers to the moon. No one was injured in last night's explosion. Checking in on Aurora Ave. Seattle City Council members are pursuing legislation that allows street closures in order to deter gun violence. Amy Radel explains.
After a recent spate of gunshots, some residents near Aurora Avenue North created barriers to block their streets and keep drive-by shootings from flowing into their neighborhoods. Deborah Juarez represents North Seattle on the city council. She says agencies close streets for other reasons, like pedestrian safety, and should help maintain this closure as well.
They do it in a heartbeat. I would like them to, put up some temporary barricades, because you can put those huge plastic ones up, or whatever SDOT deems appropriate, until we can get something more permanent or decisive in there.
Juarez is supporting a bill to close streets if the police chief says it would prevent criminal activity. Mayor Katie Wilson has directed the transportation department to replace the neighborhood barriers with something that won't hinder emergency responders and trash pickup. Amy Radel, KUOW News.
3 Spokane residents convicted of federal conspiracy charges yesterday now await sentencing. Jack Archer, Justice for All, and Bajan Mavawala II were arrested for trying to prevent federal officers from transporting 2 detained immigrants to Tacoma. The trio were among hundreds who responded to a Facebook post by former City Council President Ben Stuckert. 9, including Stuckert, were arrested on conspiracy charges. He was among the 6 who took guilty pleas for reduced sentences. After a jury handed down the verdict yesterday, State Representative Natasha Hill of Spokane thanked people who supported the defendants through the nearly 2-week trial, but she called out Stuckert.
It's not the people in positions who have a lot of power. It wasn't Ben Stuckert. I ain't seen him. You started this and you couldn't even show up to finish it. So I call on you and I call on others to do what you said you were going to do and stand up for your community, because this fight is not over with this conviction.
The protesters face up to 6 years in prison. Defense attorneys say they'll likely appeal the convictions. Turning to sadness in the wildlife realm today, conservation groups are trying to raise awareness about preventing bird deaths in window collisions. That's after a young peregrine falcon was killed in downtown Seattle this week. Amy Radel explains.
The fledgling was well known by viewers of a camera mounted at its nesting place on 3rd Avenue in Seattle's downtown. According to the Urban Raptor Conservancy, the young female falcon had just taken her first flights when she collided with a 5th-story balcony window of a nearby building and later died. The group Birds Connect Seattle estimates that tens of thousands of birds die in these collisions each year in the city. They're asking Seattle to adopt bird-friendly design standards, as other cities have done. They're also working with facility managers who the conservation group said are eager to prevent future deaths. Amy Radel, KUOW News.
Federal limits on student loans go into effect this July. That could affect the future of primary care in Washington because the state needs students in primary care to fill our need for doctors. Spokane Public Radio's Eliza Billingham reports.
Washington's healthcare authority says growth in the primary care sector is slower than specialist areas thanks to fewer entry-level clinicians, more retirements, and more burnout. Chief Medical Officer Judy Zerzenthul says another looming factor may slow the pipeline even more.
Limits in borrowing for health professions and new lifetime limits on graduate degrees across health professions, I think could limit the number of people, especially if they are not of a high income, that are able to complete this type of education.
The Working Families Tax Cuts Act, previously called the One Big Beautiful Bill, put a lifetime borrowing cap of around $250,000 for most graduate students. A Princeton Review study says the median cost of a public 4-year medical school degree is closer to $270,000. The private school median is more than $350,000. Zerzenthul says she expects even more med school graduates will now be pressured to seek specialist jobs instead of primary care, since specialists get paid more. I'm Eliza Billingham reporting.
We'll wrap up the show today with a couple travel stories. One a bit messy. The FAA wants to slap Alaska Airlines with a $165,000 fine for letting drunk passengers on board. The agency accuses the Seattle-based airline of letting intoxicated passengers onto 11 flights between 2024 and 2025. Federal law actually prohibits airlines from letting people who appear to be drunk to board their planes. Alaska Airlines said in a statement it respects the results of the audit and that it made changes over the past year. Alaska has a month to challenge the fine. Finally, as we head into the weekend, get ready for traffic delays on southbound 405 through Kirkland. Starting at 11 tonight, WashDOT is closing the stretch between 124th Street and 70th Place until Monday morning. Meanwhile, eastbound 520 between Montlake Boulevard and I-5 will also be closed during the same time this weekend. Next week on Seattle Now, the Sound Transit Board is moving forward with a plan that leaves some planned extensions like Ballard out in the cold. Advocates for light rail vowed not to give up.
We need your leadership to channel this energy you see here today. We will finish what we started at the ballot in 2016, and together we will build the damn trains.
Hear more Monday morning. That's all for today from the KUOW Newsroom in Seattle. Our producer is Andy Hurst. I'm Paige Browning. Seattle Now and KUOW are members of the NPR network. I hope you have a great weekend.